Welcome to episode 56 of the Bass Shed podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. On the episode is ridiculously talented bass player and vocalist and solo artist Shaun Munday. I don't really troll Instagram looking for bass players or anything, but Shaun came up on the Instagram feed and I heard him sing and play and I had to connect with him. Like, the dude just sounds killing. And it worked out, and I was able to chat with him and we had a great time talking about the records he's done, records he's working on, kind of, a little bit of where he was at during the pandemic and the lockdown, and things that happened there. And it was a super casual, just hang, and the conversation goes a lot of fun places. I will have links up to his website at thebasshed.com/podcast/Shaun Munday. That is Shaun with a U, SHAUN Munday, MUNDAY. Definitely check him out. If you haven't heard him yet, definitely check him out on Spotify, on YouTube, on Instagram. Like, the dude is crushing. The dude sounds so good. He's going to talk about some of his influences and what he listens to, what he's been listening to, and kind of the nature of what's being played around the house a little bit. That he comes from a musical family. And some people that were really pivotal, I guess, lack of a better word, during his time at Berklee to push him in the direction of where his career is now as a solo artist. He's going to talk about all those things. TrickfishAmps.com. I love their preamp, the Minnow, that I've been playing. That is the single channel preamp. They also have a dual channel preamp, the Trilobite. Fantastic stuff. It's got 2 channels, A/B box, 2 different gain structures. Works great for doublers. Check out trickfishamps.com. Use the promo code TheBassShed for 10% off. LemurMusic.com. Everything you need for the double bass can be found at LemurMusic.com. Stop by, scroll through what they have as far as classical repertoire, etude books, bows, rosin, practice resources, parts for the bass, add-ons, accessories. Everything you need for the double bass can be found at LemurMusic.com. As I mentioned, Shaun Munday is on the episode, and the conversation went a lot of fun places. I think at one point he started interviewing me a little bit. It was great to hang with him, and it was great to connect with him. It was great to hear about his time at Berklee, where he's coming from, his influences, things he's working on with the record, and how he kind of conceives of a lot of that stuff, especially during right now, as we're kind of in this. I'm not going to say post-pandemic, post-COVID. We're still very much in it, and just we're navigating right now with right now, today, and what these times are like and as it relates to releasing new music and releasing albums. He's going to speak to that. Here's my talk with bassist, vocalist, and solo artist Shaun Munday.
Great. Okay.
Tell me about that bass you're holding right there.
This bass, it's a pretty bass. It's special.
It is a pretty bass.
It's my bass. There are many basses, but mine, no, this is a Conklin classic 424 Shaun Munday model, I guess.
Okay. So is that signature? Did you help design it, or is it You're clearly you endorse them, they endorse you. I don't know how that works. You guys endorse each other.
Yeah. Well, they make them like a mile and a half from where I live.
Oh, cool.
So as is with most of my endorsements, it happens to be kind of around me and just people I know and I like.
Nice.
But he had a concept to kind of go back to doing these old school basses. I guess he'd got known for doing like crazy.
Yeah, I remember I'm blanking on the dude's name. Melvin had like the 7-string, right?
Melvin and Bill Dickens.
Yeah, Bill Dickens. That's who I'm thinking of.
I think he got a lot of attention for them and for those extended range basses, and I think that kind of popped at the time when those instruments were getting hot, and I think he was getting a lot of calls, and he said he wanted to get Bill Conklin wanted to go back to the basics, and kind of do these old school stuff, and he said, I think you'd be a good fit for this. So we kind of went back to that style of just doing the 4-string and the 5-string with the P and the J pickups. And I said, I like that. I need a little bit more for what I do. So we extended the range a little bit. These are EMG pickups and the knobs are stacked. So there's a little bit extra juice on here, but by and large, it's pretty much just.
So what, you extended it to 24 frets or does it go past 24?
No, just 24.
Okay. Yeah, otherwise it gets a little weird.
Then it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, just get another string at that point. Just add a string. Cool. And then you got the Phil Jones back there. Man, I've been actually looking at that cabinet for small upright gigs.
Yes.
I met Phil at NAMM. Was it NAMM 2020? The last NAMM before the pandemic.
Right.
And I got to play through that. Those things sound amazing.
No, they're incredible. I really, really, really like it. The Bass Cub 120, I think. It's real incredible. Listening to it, it's one of those things where you're finally getting to hear the sound that you've been hearing in your head, but it never quite comes out for what. And I don't. I don't know anything about that kind of technology or technology in general for the most part. So I can't explain what's going on or why.
Sure. No, leave it to those guys. Leave it to those guys. Yeah.
Figure it out. And they are kind of just Phil, especially, they're just kind of those mad genius types, and that they look the part and they kind of act the part. But, they do incredible stuff. So whatever they're doing, keep doing it because it's incredible.
So where are you at? What part of the country are you in?
I'm in southern Missouri, kind of out in the country a little bit.
Okay. That's a different change of pace than LA. I'm probably a little envious at times.
I was just in this is in LA, other coast, New York, but similar kind of traffic, kind of congestion, and I don't miss that. I like to do it just to keep my driving chops up. I used to having kind of worked up there for a while and stuff. I was used to it, but I don't want to lose my, ability to.
No, that's the thing, man. I remember I've talked to other musicians about it. Like that's a whole, like driving chops. That's a thing. It's like controlling your mental and emotional and like on the way to a gig and not losing it in traffic and all the things you're navigating. It's there's a lot to that.
I tell you, during the shutdown, I actually made a point to go out. At least everything was shut, so there was no reason to go out. But at night, at least every other night, go out and just drive.
Yeah.
Hit the highways and stuff. And I'm glad I did, because I noticed when things started opening up more, it was like people were learning how to drive again. I know. The lines weren't there, and just people were just, what is this machinery? And it's like, cool. I'm glad I'm not in New York or LA right now, because that'd be.
Are you from Missouri originally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was how I kind of ended. I don't know if I'd probably found this area if I wasn't born around here.
Yeah. Okay. I've never been there. What's it like? What's the scene like there? What's the local scene like there?
I don't know. I don't go out. I don't go out around here. I think it's cool. I think it's probably just about like any other kind of Midwestern town. It's just pockets of people doing what they do. Probably a small fledgling jazz collective, 5 or 6 people propped up by the school
More
or
people
whatever.
playing it than listening to it.
Absolutely. And then acoustic guitar people. It's pretty much the same. But I don't go out too much around here so much. I think that's probably what's going on. But whenever I do hear something, it's usually pretty neat. So
nice. What kind of things have been keeping you busy? What kind of gigs have been keeping you busy?
A lot of it's picking back up again, for the time being,
Sure.
Things are kind of getting weird again.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the deal. We're back to like masks inside.
Yeah.
Like spots are still open, but like, you know, it's like a weird kind of open. It's not really open.
Yeah. Things are getting moved, still getting rescheduled and canceled, which is fine. For me, if they think that needs to happen, I'm all for it. But I had planned to release an album at some point, but I haven't quite got the green light where it looks like it's okay to just start booking a tour and stuff. But things are opening back up. I'm doing more stuff again, more live playing. I did a little run up to New York and played out there a little bit. And
was that as a solo artist, or were you a sideman on that?
Stuff. Yeah,
okay.
Mostly solo stuff for the last few years, pretty much strictly solo stuff. Any other stuff I do as far as collaborations, usually in recordings.
Okay.
And playing on stuff, which has been part of what I've been doing over the break, the extended break here, sabbatical, whatever you want to call it.
Mandatory vacation.
Yeah, well, it's fine. I think I needed it. I think I was getting a little. I was doing too much. I have a hard time.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that there's a portion of it that was absolutely needed, and it was time to just like stop, slow down, kind of hit reset, but without the shock value. If I could have did it without the shock value of what's going on in the world, is my career ever going to return? If so,
absolutely.
What's that going to look like? If I could have removed the shock value from it all, it would have been perfect.
100%. I think about that. I was thinking about that a couple of days ago. It's like if I could have just that time where I was just around and just working on things and had it without that lingering anxiety.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, all the visions of those those wild like end of the world movies and stuff. Right. And just when is the other shoe going to fall here? Mm-hmm. It would have been great, but
right. No.
But it was what it was. And
there was some silver lining to it for sure.
Yes, as with most things. So
indeed. Cool. So you've been doing the solo thing. Now, I was checking out the record you have out, or collection of singles on Spotify. Yeah. I don't know how to refer to that. It seemed like there was a record, but then you have some other singles up there.
Yeah.
What I dug about it is it's not just a bass record, because those get boring. And a lot of times when bass players cut records, it's just like, here's the bass. And there's not like a thread of a song involved, you know, and the fact that you're singing also helps keep it cohesive. But it wasn't just about the bass, although that there's moments, you know, where that's coming out the whole time. And I think it seemed to me like it's something that's a great representation of what you do, both on the instrument and vocally. When during your career did you decide to take the plunge to just do the solo thing? Was it a conscious decision? Was it just kind of something that's like, well, you know, doing on the side in the middle of doing some other gigs? And then at what point did that become the main focus, or had it always been the main focus?
I think there was something in the back of my mind that I was always going to have to do it by myself. Whatever, ultimately, I was going to have to go solo, because I figured I was too weird, too independent-minded, too desiring of just as much autonomy as I could get away with to work in a band or to work under a band leader or whatever. I was going to do what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, when I wanted to do it. So inevitably, I felt I was going to have to do solo at some point. I was trying, I think, also to put it off because it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work. Especially as a bass player coming from, you know, just...
Yeah.
You know, and just getting away with that. And then, hey, paycheck, show up, you know, 10 minutes before the gig, maybe 5, whatever, plug in and get to it and paycheck and then leave. And the solo thing, I knew was going to be more work, and it is, but it's a good work.
Yeah.
So
what did you run into along the way that you didn't expect
as a solo guy?
Yeah. Like the business end of it, did it challenge your playing in new ways? Did it challenge you vocally in new ways? Doing them both together, when did that kind of come about?
Well, so what I've ended up doing, what I do the most now, which is just pretty much this 4-string electric bass and then just singing and playing.
Yeah.
That just had been what I had been doing pretty much my whole life. Not too long after I kind of started taking the bass seriously, it was 9 or 10 or whatever. That's just what I'd been doing, just because I kind of lived out in the middle of nowhere and there weren't other kids in the neighborhood. And it was just pretty much me in the bass, just alone. I don't have any friends or anything. So me in the bass. So I'm, and you want to have a band. So I'm just, and just figuring stuff out and trying to play. So I'd been doing that forever. So musically, it wasn't that much of a challenger. I didn't have to stretch and think outside of a box or anything and try to figure out how to work. What surprised me is just people's reaction to it. Mm-hmm. And it still surprises me because I look at it objectively. Okay, here's a guy sits on a stool 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, just him and a bass guitar singing and playing the bass. So on paper, to me, I don't know if that's the first thing I would.
You don't know. So you're telling me you don't know if you'd go to your own show? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know what I would expect.
Yeah.
It's just, what is that? And that's also what I hear. But the reaction that people have had, and everybody's been so kind and so positive about it, and people seem to dig it. That's what always kind of blows my mind, is that it is somehow this works. Yeah. It keeps working. I get to play all over the country and other countries, and people keep calling me to do this stuff. Great. That's the biggest surprise. Everything else I've kind of seen as far as the music business side and making things work, that I was pretty much familiar with, but it's pretty much just how it worked. And I don't know if that has anything to do with me.
Tell me about this record that you were going to release. What's the record titled?
I don't know yet. I was going to wait. Till I get, cause I'd have to come up with, what I don't want to do is have this thing just ready to go, and then the world changes and then I change. Cause listening to the first record I made, I would do so much differently, and I don't listen to it a lot because I go, I would like to do that differently. And it just sounds different. It sounds younger. It sounds, it doesn't sound as experienced or worldly as I do now, I think. So it'd be a different album. So I don't want to kind of put all my eggs into this album basket and then everything shuts down again, or the world changes, or I just say, I don't want to do this, or maybe I just want to do strictly instrumental, or maybe I just don't want to do bass at all. Maybe I just want to be a cool singer and I keep adding songs too and changing things. So I've not settled on a title yet, but at the moment, the album is it's really kind of expanding on what I started kind of doing, which is having the bass fill the roles of guitars and drums and stuff, but also adding some of the more conventional musical elements. So there's real drums and there's guitar and there's keyboards and stuff, rather than having the bass fill all the roles.
Right.
I've also enlisted some other songwriter help. Some of my buddies from Nashville.
Okay.
Got some songs from them on there. My father has written some songs for there. He's a writer.
Very cool.
So I've got some of his stuff on there. So,
is he a songwriter or an author? Like what type of writing does your father do?
Well, he's a songwriter at this point. He's been just a kind of a working musician for most of my life, and I guess most of his, in addition to other things.
Is he a bass player?
He was, I guess, I don't know when you can cut that off. I think
yeah, I don't know if you ever do. I don't know if you ever really start or stop.
Well, I guess, I think if you can play it at some point, I guess you're pretty much a bass player forever. Cause to some degree, it's not,
not
too hard to do that. But, he's the one who showed me. He was a bass player when I was born.
Okay.
And then at a certain point, he was like, I think he's my son has the bass figured out. And then he switched to guitar more.
Okay.
Keys. And then he retired from other work, regular people work and stuff. And he kind of shifted his focus to songwriting more. So
cool.
Lyrics and stuff. So I put him to work on.
Yeah. Put him to work.
Yeah.
So how many, you co-wrote all those with him and your friends from Nashville. How many songs do you have in the can right now?
Well, I've for the album, I'm trying to keep it between 10 and 15. I've got about 35, I think.
Oh man,
just recorded and ready to go. It's been some time since the first one, and then I had a lot of time over this past year to just kind of ruminate on music and change things and stuff. But at some point, I think regardless of what's going on in the world, I'm just gonna have to put it out, because otherwise, it's gonna be one of those. Was it like Axl Rose kind of situation? This long-awaited follow-up 40 years later, and then it's
Steely
just
Dan
garbage.
20-year sabbatical.
Yeah, and then it's just garbage and just out of touch at that point. And you probably should just put this out. But I think probably once that ball gets rolling, they'll probably just start putting out an album probably every year, because there's just so much material.
That's great. That's great. You went to Berkeley, correct?
Yes.
Cool. What years were you at Berkeley?
Let's see, 2005 to 09.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a hard time with the 2000s.
In what
dates.
sense? I mean, I suck at dates in general. Like, I know some people, they're like, man, that was September of 1977, and they can go into this story. I'm like, is today Thursday? Like, I don't even know what today is.
Yeah, the one of the issues I have with this my lifestyle is really just remembering when the trash goes out. I know it's Monday or Tuesday now, but I really don't know what Monday or Tuesday when that is.
Yeah.
It's a problem. And for the years, I have a real hard time with remembering what year it is.
Yeah.
I think 2020 kind of sticks out in my mind just because it was just, you couldn't escape those digits for a little bit. So if you ask me what date it is, I'll probably tell you something 2020 or something, because and it also sounds futuristic, even, growing up as a child in the 90s and watching like RoboCop and stuff.
Yeah.
Set in the 80s, but the future is like in the year 2008, robot people will exist in like.
Man, it's crazy. Yeah, we live in the future now. It's nuts. Like, rewind to RoboCop. I did a gig with him, Timothy Weller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a trumpet player. Like on the side, and I ended up doing this weird gig with him. It was hilarious.
Wow.
And then do they have these things in Missouri, like Postmates and all these food delivery?
I think they have a few, yeah.
But they have these little like robot carts that does it by itself. It drives itself to the restaurant. They put the thing in the little like motorized basket, and then it drives itself on city streets, like sidewalks, to the destination.
Wow.
It's bizarre.
Wow. Sometimes I wonder what, because I think the world moves so fast for us. We kind of see it, and it's like a novelty, and we just oh, well, this is a new with the phones and everything too.
Yeah.
Oh, my phone has 3 cameras on it now, and it looks better than anything they could have made 40 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
As far as the filming and stuff, and we just kind of like, oh, this is how it is. But I wonder if you know what it looks like to someone who's born in the 40s or the 50s or the 30s, or if you were in a coma for 100 years, how?
I think they kind of check out, man. I think there's a portion of it, like my folks, my dad was born in 49, my mom was born in 53. I think that there's just a part of it that they don't check in with.
It doesn't even matter.
It does. No, they're doing their life and their life set up, and they've accepted enough technology that works for them.
Right.
And everything else, like, and I'm kind of envious of that. Just take what works for you.
Right.
And don't try to absorb it all because it's all way too much and it moves way too fast.
It is. And ideally, that's probably how it should be, because ultimately, I guess technology is just a tool that's supposed to make something aspect of your life more convenient or better. And if you got something that works, if you got a real good hammer, then why familiarize yourself with the HammerBot 5000?
Right, the iHammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Who were you studying with at Berkeley?
I pretty much stuck to two guys as far as private lessons were concerned. The first was Matthew Garrison.
Yeah.
Who was great. And the other one was Oscar Stagnaro.
Okay.
It was like just a Latin bass master.
Okay.
Everybody should check him out if you're not familiar with him. He does a lot of work with a saxophone reed guy, Paquito de Rivera, I think.
Sure.
Is his name. But he's incredible. So I'm just a master of Latin music and rhythms and stuff. So that was great. And Matt Garrison is Matt Garrison.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, so you should check him out.
Did you adopt his whole right hand technique?
Kind of later on I got to play around with it. There was so much stuff, and I think about my time there. There was just so much stuff being flung at me, and then kind of so much that I expected from myself and was expected of me, that there wasn't a whole lot of time to like get to play around with that kind of stuff, because the four finger technique, I think that you're kind of talking about, the thumb and the index in the middle, that kind of classical flamenco kind of stuff. I do that a lot now. It's something that I wanted to do, kind of even prior to Berkeley, and seeing. I went up to Boston like a year before, and I got to see him play. I was like, this is what I've been trying to do.
Okay,
but it's a different sound. And a different kind of a touch and a different kind of a tone. And when you're in that kind of that position, you kind of just have to stick. It's like any other kind of bass player kind of gig. You just kind of have to kind of stick to what's expected. So
sure.
You got to kind of do just the regular two fingers, because that's a meteor sound. Mm-hmm. And you can't get too wild and too flashy. But yeah, as of late, I guess you could say I've been doing a lot of that. I looked up a couple of his little exercises, and it's not too wild. It's just kind of just doing that roll.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was shedding it for a minute back in the day. Like, I had built a ramp on my bass, and like I was doing that, checking out to see if this is something I really wanted to spend time on. And I was checking out his right hand technique and kind of practicing that a lot. And it's not complicated, but it takes a lot of time to just get it dialed in and get it consistent.
Right. For me, I use those four fingers, but I don't think quite in the same way that he does. I don't end up doing that kind of that roll thing that he does, with that crazy just flurry of whatever, all that stuff. But for the chording like approach and the kind of the finger, the independence, and kind of being able to move around. And I know he does that. And there's a couple other guys who kind of use those kind of techniques. I think the bass player that I think maybe Matt got it from, to some extent, I think Dominique DiPiazza. Yeah. I think the French bass player. The way he does it is great too. So just kind of trying to get all that stuff going. And also, I really just wanted to try to develop and use everything that I had at my disposal, which in my case is two hands, and I got all 10 fingers still. So try to use as many of those as I can to make it just interesting for me to get different sounds and try to make different elements pop out of the bass. Cause you got 1, 2, 3 hours to fill. You might as well, I guess.
That's physically, that's demanding. Not only from a bass player standpoint, but vocally and mentally. I mean, to do both, that seems like it would be pretty taxing or demanding to be able to sing and play and just, own a room for 3 hours by yourself. It's actually something I admire about stand-up comedians because they can walk out on stage and they can control this whole thing by themselves, them in a microphone. I'm so enamored by that.
I tell you what I usually tell people, it'd be cool if I was a trumpet. Well, it wouldn't be cool, but it would be it would be travel wise. It would be nice to be a flute player, a trumpet player, or maybe even a violin player. Just because I can have a motorcycle and I can throw in an airplane, throw it in the overhead or whatever, put it on the seat. Who cares?
Have it in a backpack.
Yeah, but the real thing that I should do is stand up comedy, because even then, like, what are you bringing anywhere? Just a backpack with whatever your t-shirt and some jeans. They got the microphone there. You're not even bringing gear. You're just,
There's no loading,
and you're just talking. So it's just as long as you're kind of awake and semi sober. It's so you don't have to warm up. You don't have to worry about breaking a string. Or you don't have to worry about am I out of tune and all this stuff. The sounds not right. You just show up and you're just talking to a mic, and then it's just you, and there's no overhead. So if you get to a certain tier of success, that's free money.
Yeah, right. But you're doing it. I mean, you're doing the closest thing to it. You're not dealing with rehearsals. You're not trying to get a band together. You're not setting up Dropbox folder with charts. Like any of the times I've done band leading, like just getting 4 guys in the same room together, getting 4 musician schedules to align, just that. We haven't even done the gig yet. We're just trying to rehearse, and just getting all that to happening. Getting that to happen. That's a mess.
I don't know how much you allow to talk about yourself on here, but like, how did you find that just working with a band or being a band leader or just really just interpersonal dealings in the realm of being a musician? How
interpersonal, like my relationships with the guys, or like as in like a managerial role?
Everything, just dealing with personalities, dealing with the scheduling.
I honestly, as from a band leader standpoint, I only call dudes that I'm cool with personally, like that I can go shoot pool with, or we've hung, so I know that there's not going to be a personal conflict there, and hopefully that I trust enough musically to where I don't have to rehearse them.
Right. So
that's like homies that can play. Like that. That's how I deal with it, because I don't want to deal with it. Right. So it's just like, all right, like I'm gonna be hanging with you anyways, and I know you can play. So you want to do the gig?
Yeah,
that's way easier than like maybe it's just somebody I don't have a personal relationship with. Trying to get them over to the room and like read through the charts and do the Here, nah, man. Like here, I'll show up. Either I'll have the charts, or you'll read it. Like I can trust them to just do their thing, and I'm close enough with them that I can talk shit if I need to.
I like it. That's probably the best way to do it. Sometimes I read in like people's interviews or memoirs about, they'll deal with a great but troubled, I don't know, whatever, musician or something, or artist or something. I was like, is that still a thing? I think almost everybody can play at this point,
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if you can get away with being a jerk.
I don't know if you can, man. I know I've talked about it before, like just the idea that me included, in a band scenario, we're all disposable. If someone can't cut it or has a bad attitude or whatever, like everybody in that room knows 15 other versions of me.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be there, and I try to, bring the A game, because there's, especially now in the world with like things opening back up, people are itching to play. People are hungry to get back to it. Like, man, there's no shortage of dudes.
No,
they can do what I'm doing on some of these gigs and are hungry to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good thing about what you're doing is you're just dealing with you. That's kind of amazing.
I guess. And there's nobody else to blame though. It's like this drummer is all time. I can't. That's his fault. It's too loud. This drummer it didn't.
Man, I was just talking to a manager guy who's going to start doing some work for me. And I was talking kind of about that thing about like, man, I can't do this without them. Like, I don't do what you do. Like, I can't do a solo show. Like, I need 3 or 4 other guys to go and like do these dates with. And it's kind of, it would seem to me like you're in a really this place that's like incredibly free and empowering, that you're not reliant on everybody else, that this thing you've set out to do, make it just what you want to do how you want to do it, and so on. That's pretty empowering, because like I'm a slave to the other guys that I'm working with. They're like, who can make the gig? You know, okay, he can do it, but he wants this much money or this, that, and the other thing. Right. I always have, that's always on my mind, because I can't do the solo thing.
Yeah. That being said, I would. There are times, and I think there's something versus myself, my act, what I do versus a band or a trio or something. It's just it's a whole different ball game in terms of what you're producing musically. It's a different energy. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be louder and stuff. And at some point, I think I would like to be able to work with the band and travel and do those things with a group, but like you said, it's there's a lot of rigmarole you have to deal with.
That is, yeah. There's a lot of moving parts. Just
in the technical, just from just getting A to B, getting these people lined up. It's a lot to figure out. But thankfully, I guess in the meantime, I'm allowed to do this solo thing, and I say allowed because I you can't will yourself to play at this spot or this theater, whatever. People have to allow you to come.
Sure.
And thankfully people, for whatever reason, let me go do these things or ask me to come and do these things. So it's not entirely up to me that I get to do this solo thing. It's whatever it is that they hear that they like. So I'm happy about that. But at some point I would like to, and I do from time to time, I do have a little trio. My brother plays drums and stuff, and he lives a few hours north of here, I think. And my father still plays guitar, so we get together and we'll go do some of the. There's a real great music scene about 2 or 3 hours north of where I live in Kansas City.
Sure,
a lot of jazz and stuff, and a great history.
Man, that's like on my list to hit, man. All the old Ellington history, not Ellington, Basie history there, and just the jazz history from the 30s, and I kind of want to walk those streets and see what's up with it now, and check in on some of the geography of where all those historical things happened. That part of the country and that city really fascinates me.
There's a lot of cool stuff still going on up there. I really enjoy being up there. There's a lot of just really great jazz clubs and venues that I used to frequent a lot and play and hang out at, and just really, they've got a all hours, all night jazz jam on the weekend there too.
That's some old school. Yeah.
It looks old school too. It's, the whole setup. It's down there, I think off 18th and Vine or something. It's there's still a scene for sure. So do check it out and let me know when you get out there.
Yes, absolutely. What are you listening to right now? I talk about this regularly.
Yeah.
There's so much out there. I just got into vinyl. I just started like buying vinyl.
Yeah.
And I love it because it makes me feel like how I used to buy CDs. Like go to the store, comb through them, end up with like 40 in my hand. And then as I'm walking to the register, put down everything but like 3 of them.
Right.
Discard them all. And these are the top picks that I'm buying today. So it kind of like, I feel like that again with the vinyl, and I love listening to vinyl. So searching for music has been fun again, instead of just scrolling through Spotify.
Really?
Yeah, like that wasn't, I was overwhelmed by it all, and I didn't know what to, I like going to the store. It's what I would do in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'd go to the record store and just comb through CDs. That'd be an afternoon.
Right.
And now I get to do that with vinyl. So I'm having a lot of fun doing that, but I'm always checking in with guys. Like, what are you listening to? What's inspiring you?
Yeesh. I got a bunch of vinyl too. Yeah.
Do you release your records on vinyl?
I'm releasing the next one because everybody wants a vinyl now for the last couple of years. You have the vinyl? It's like, this is absurd. Why are we going back? You have all the music ever on the phone in your pocket. I know. Why do you want this huge, cumbersome piece of whatever that scratches up and breaks? But it's a beautiful piece of art, and I do like it.
I love that, man. It's a whole thing. The cover art, the inside, like it's a story. It's not just listening to a single on some streaming service. Like, it's an experience that you're sitting there, like reading the thing, and it's a whole experience while listening to the music.
It is. Yeah, you do definitely lose something in the next level convenience of having every bit of entertainment that has ever existed
right
in your pocket.
I know. Isn't that bizarre?
It's almost, it just kind of dilutes everything, I guess, to some degree. Let's see. What am I listening to? What have I been listening to? A lot of it jumps around and it gets weird sometimes. Lately, it really does. I think what I've been listening to, Brazilian music.
Okay.
A lot of different Brazilian music.
Like folkloric Brazilian music or Brazilian jazz? What?
Every whatever I get. A lot of Brazilian jazz.
Okay.
A lot of that kind of stuff. I go back to a lot of stuff that I was listening to probably in the early 2000s. I constantly revisit that just jam along with it. I make time for that every day, like D'Angelo and all that Soulquarian stuff, Erykah Badu.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that kind of that groove stuff.
Man, like Pino and Quest on all those records with Common and Erykah and D'Angelo, and like those two were just crushing it back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s neo soul thing. Those records are some of the baddest.
Yeah, and I really like that, and that's kind of a time when I think for me that resonates because it was kind of my kind of a musical awakening. It's like, oh yes, there's deeper levels to this. So that's always good to listen to. I try to listen to. There's some like I don't know what. There's a lot of Michael McDonald a lot.
Yes, dude, man. Well, okay. Now the irony is I don't know the name of this song. I keep forgetting. I can't forget. But the irony is I always forget what the actual title of the song is.
This is like a dad joke. I like it.
Man, I'm that age. That's like, I'm 39. Like dad jokes are just coming out and I'm not even aware.
I love dad jokes.
But yeah, man, I love that track. Like the bass line on it's so killing. He sounds great. I got to see him live years ago before I was even really hip to him. Yeah, I'm a big Michael McDonald fan.
He played not too far from where I live, maybe 2-3 years ago. And I got to see him live and brought a whole crew of people with me, and we all went and watched. And he played just 3 hours. He did he played 3 hours straight. Had a big band and a choir and everything with him.
Oh wow!
And probably one of my top 5 live shows probably I've seen. I'm just a real big fan of him and what he does, and the bass is the rhythm stuff, and he's always got cool harmonies and sings great and I listen to it, but sometimes I can't. I find that And you probably find this too when you listen to certain things or artists a lot and stuff, which is kind of why I don't listen to bass players too much anymore. Stuff will start to rub off on you. There's kind of like idio.
You don't want it to rub off?
I think it would be great, but
I'm going the other way. I listen to as much so it will rub off. Like I'm trying to get a little juju of what like all these what these dudes are doing.
Well, with the bass players, I kind of do the opposite with the singers because I feel like that's. So I listen to those guys a lot, and a lot of the old vintage soul stuff, Otis Redding and Al Green and all those guys. I listen to that stuff a ton. Donny Hathaway, especially to try to just learn how to sing better. So were you singing as a young child? Was that part of your musical? No, absolutely not. No,
because you can hear all that in your voice. It comes from a very mature. This place that's rooted in like old soul. Like I mean, it's deeply rooted there. When I hear you sing.
I think everybody else around me, as far as my immediate family, was singing and singing well and singing in that style. I had no desire to sing, did not want to sing, hated singing. I really didn't care for working with singers too much. Just singers, their personality type, I didn't like.
The kind of high strung attention.
I got to be out front, attention. Look at me, whatever that. I just read something the other day about that personality type and just kind of some of the issues and stuff.
What did you read and how do they qualify it? Like how would an article put it instead of me just sounding rude and saying it how I would say?
This article was it was kind of talk. What was it? It was kind of looking at it from. I forget what that book is, the big medical book with all the terms and definitions.
Oh, the DSM?
Yes. Yeah. It was referencing that and kind of pulling terms from that. And it was like bipolar disorders and like kind of like just these personality disorders and things. Yeah. I'm just a bass player, so I'm not good at these terms. So don't expect me to get
that's in the DSM. That is a disorder that I think is in the back. It's like, oh, here's the bass player profile.
Yeah. Well, no, because I think just it's hard to get a look at yourself. I think I fit the bass player personality, at least from what I think is that I am quiet and I shy, especially for the first 20 years of my life, for sure. And I just want to be in the back and I just want to serve my role and just have a good time doing it.
Yeah.
And just try to stay out of the way. Versus the singers that I encountered early on, and this is not true for everybody. It is certainly not true. And I've been around, but initially a lot of the singers and lead guitar players that I ran into were very much the opposite and very much had to be in front and very dramatic.
Yeah. And trumpet players too.
Yeah. Just lead people that have a desire to be out front and all that stuff.
They have these big personalities and they need to let you know about it.
Yeah.
And that's not always a bad thing. You know, like I work with a trumpet player right now and he's got great frontman energy. And even like when we're just barbecuing at his place, he's still got that, but none of it's a bad thing. Like he's one of my favorite people. But he's got that vibe. Like he's a trumpet player,
which I think is great. And I think there are some people who just have that vibe. Yeah. Like this is a front person. That's what they do. But, and I think, this is, I can't stress this enough. I'm not saying all singers. I'm saying the handful of singers that I had the misfortune of dealing with.
Right. You know who you are, singers. You know who you are.
Because I learned early on, I got to get that experience out of the way and learn everything's a lesson. It's all beautiful. But this particular personality type, I feel like they were trying to make up for something missing in their life or something that had nothing to do with music. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably what it boils down to me for me, as far as being a pet peeve or whatever you want to call it, is that I'm having to deal with your mommy, daddy, boyfriend issues, whatever, girlfriend issues, whatever. And it has nothing to do with music. It has nothing to do with making us better or anything. It's
they're looking to be seen
or whatever. Yeah. And your validation. And that's fine. Everybody's looking for that on some level, but when it boils into breakdowns on stage or just screaming matches at a rehearsal and all this stuff. It's like, let's just instrumental band guys. We just do that. People who want to play. It was a jam.
Yeah,
and But anyway, singing. I had a class in school at Berkeley where to pass it, you had to sing some songs, and they.
Could you accompany yourself on the bass, or were you just singing with someone playing piano or something?
This particular class, it was the class was like it was like a band. So there were 2 keyboard players, a bass player, a couple guitar players, and drums. So it was essentially a band, but everybody had to sing songs. So if you're the drummer, you had to sing a couple of songs or whatever to pass the class. And the class was taught by Whitney Houston's keyboard player at the time, a guy named Jetro Da Silva. So so now this guy who never wanted to sing, doesn't want to sing, has no desire to sing, doesn't want to be around singing. Has to sing to pass the class. I intended to pass the class, but they picked these songs for me. He picked like a Luther Vandross song, and I think an Otis Redding song, and Donny Hathaway song, I think.
Okay.
And
all of those are, I mean, that's like the female trying to sing Whitney. Like, he's setting the bar high on you.
Yeah.
To come at you with Luther and Donnie. Like,
yeah. And to me, now I have to sing in front of this guy who knows what good singing is, who knows.
Right. Whitney was like one of the all-time best to ever do the thing. She's so insane.
Absolutely. And now I got to go sing, and I sang, and he liked it, and everybody liked it, and he encouraged me to keep doing it. He almost pestered me to keep doing it. It was like, I want to try to do his accent. It was like, hey, get real offensive real quick. He wrote me a letter and stuff of like recommendation, all this stuff. And he was like, you got to keep singing. Like, God, he gives us these gifts, sometimes it's not just one gift, your bass playing is great, but you also have this incredible voice. Like, okay, man, whatever. And then it was still years after that I really got into singing more, because also with singing, there are people who really want to sing.
Yeah.
And they really want to be out front, and they really want to sing their song. So I don't have to. It's like twice the work. Why would I do twice the work for the same paycheck? It's like, hey,
It's a cool thing, man. I think as a bass player, what you're doing on the bass is at a very high level, musically and technically. And the fact that you're singing can kind of rope these people in to dudes who've never, male and female, who've never listened to, let's say, Matthew Garrison, or don't know about all these bass virtuoso people, and will never really hear it. I could say maybe the similar thing to Michelle Indigocello, because of what she's doing with song, and she's a bass player. People understand more of what the bass is capable of because the lyric brings them in, and that's something they're familiar with. And so what you're doing, I think, is a beautiful thing for the music community and the bass community, is you're letting people that would not know about this stuff in the bass world, like, yo, this can happen on the bass too. And maybe they heard you sing, and so they're going to check it out. But then they're like, oh man, people play the bass like that? And it kind of brings awareness to what can be done on the bass, and you're crushing it. So it's cool. Like, what you're pushing the bass forward, I think, in that way, and making it accessible, and not just this insulated bass nerd thing that it can easily become.
Bass nerd. Yeah. I think that's a conversation I have with some of my management from time to time. It's like, I dig that stuff, and I listen to it from time to time. And that's where I came from with the bass stuff. And I kind of came up at a time when bass nerddom was probably peaked, I feel like.
Oh man, Marcus and Wooten was at the top of your show of hands. That the bass cookbook he did with Will Lee.
I think there was a strict, and the bass players took over the world. Bass Day was starting to happen.
Yeah.
The internet was existing, so now these videos were kind of popping up and forums and things.
Sure.
The actual manufacturing process of basses allowed for, you weren't dealing with the giant like PVT 40s or like the
right.
P basses with the super warped neck and the giant strings. Now anybody, you could just pick up a bass and, pretty easily do this stuff. So that was a great time to be a bass player, or if you were into bass playing or that kind of style and stuff. But at some point, a lot. Sometimes, a lot of just the frequency gives me a headache at some point. I mean, from me playing too. Sometimes I'll play in a theater or something, and like they'll have the subs just really kicking.
Yeah,
like it right around maybe an hour or 90 minutes or so. I start to get nauseous. but.
That's hilarious. So you go straight. You go 3-4 hours straight, no breaks, no intermission, no.
Usually, yeah. Unless I really have to, and I haven't yet. Or sometimes just sometimes some venues they have a break built in, so you kind of stop. But I don't care either way. Just I don't know what I would do on break, other than get cold. Which I don't like. I feel like I get really, really good. Like the longer I play, I'm getting really warm, getting really loose. So
yeah,
it's a 2-3 hour thing. That second and third hour there, like
you're really in it.
I feel like I'm really humming. I'm really in the zone, and to stop. And I kind of learned that from playing with like groups and stuff. Because if you play with a group, and as you probably know, like doing a bar gig or whatever, they're all about breaks. And so is the bar or the venue usually, because that's sometimes when they sell the drinks and they can kind of.
Yeah, they want people off the dance floor, so they go to the bar.
Right. So that's what they do. And also the band, like you get like an honorary drummer or something, they're not going to play for 2-3 hours straight. And I don't blame them physically. That's a lot of work to play the drums like that, especially if it's a party, rock party, whatever, anything super active. So. But yeah, I just love it, and I just really love it, and the time flies when I'm doing it. So
cool.
Yeah,
man. Thanks for doing this. I'm excited to hear the new record. You're gonna have to shoot me an email. Let me know when it finally comes out, and we'll have you back on so you can talk about which of the 35 songs you decided on to release and why those ones.
I'm surprised too. I'm waiting also.
just come right out with the box set, man. Just like
there we go. Greatest hits.
Yeah.
That's the name of the album. It's Shaun Munday Greatest Hits.
That's it. You heard it here first. Just right to the premium gold collection.
Yeah.
Man, I love it. We'll definitely be in touch, dude. And keep me posted on that. I want to hear it, and I want you to talk about it when it comes out.
Will do, man. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too.
All right, peace. All right, that was my talk with bassist Shaun Munday, bassist, vocalist, solo artist. Right, what he's doing vocally is so killing. One of the things he said that stuck out to me is like it was a great time, to kind of be a bass player when he's talking about that era specifically of bass players or what was happening in kind of the world of bass. When Wooten hit the scene and what Marcus was up to, all these things that were just happening. Bass Day. The first Bass Day I remember is Bass Day 98. I don't know if there was a 96 or 97, but I remember all those VHS tapes that came out from Bass Day 98. There's Rocco Prestia, there was a John Patitucci, there was Wooten, there was a beautiful upright duo with Michael Moore and Rufus Reed. There was a lot of cool videotapes there, and he's right. And I never really thought about it, that was kind of an exciting time within the bass world. And I think I might have taken that for granted because that was right around the, I had been playing a few years and that's just what it was to me. I hadn't known anything before that, actually. But now, looking back, Shaun was absolutely right. That was a very exciting time within the bass world. And it was great to connect with Shaun. And I am excited to hear this record that's going to be, he's going to be releasing whenever that happens. He will let me know and I will let you know. Definitely, follow him on all the social media stuff. Go to ShaunMunday.com, check out what he's up to, and get involved. If he's, I'm sure he's got a mailing list, right? Everybody's got a mailing list. Get involved. Get involved with what he's up to. That dude is a bad dude. He plays the bass amazing. He sounds incredible vocally. Check him out. That's about all I got for this one, folks. If you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe wherever you are listening to it. And I will catch you on the next one in a minute.